But some people, they'll say, well, couldn't God use evolution to make the world? God could have. I mean, God can do anything. But what God can't do is lie. So if he said he did it in 6 days, he did it in 6 days.
Amen.
This isn't a matter of what God could have done. It's a matter of what God said he did.
That's right.
You know, the real question is, are you going to believe what God said? And they'll say, well, you can't take Genesis literally. You know, God's communicating to an ignorant people. They're not sophisticated enough to understand evolution. So it's just a framework. It's an analogy. It's just figurative language. And it's like, really? I was on a radio talk show one time, and a guy called in and said, does the Bible say that man came from the dust of the earth? And I said, yeah. And he says, well, that's evolution. That's what evolution says. Man came from the dust of the earth. And that's just how God did it. It's an analogy. And I said, well, the Bible also says that the first woman came from the first man's rib. How does that fit into the analogy? And it doesn't. It doesn't at all. And keep in mind that Jesus always referred to Genesis as an accurate historical event.
Right.
He always did. And so if we're not referring to Genesis as an accurate historical event, we're not following the example of Jesus. And we're on real thin ice. Because if we're starting to compromise creation, that's a slippery slope. Well, if God didn't mean what he said about creation, maybe he didn't mean what he said about marriage. Maybe he didn't mean what he said about gender. Maybe he didn't mean what he said about the gospel. Maybe he didn't mean anything. I'll just live my life. And if people get to that point, why believe in a Savior? You don't believe in God. And so if you cause one of these little ones to stumble, man, it's better for you if you were cast in the sea with the millstones thrown around your neck. So this is a very important topic. Genesis is where the foundation for the gospel is. It tells us where sin came from. It tells us where everything came from. You know, the stars, the planets, people, plants, animals, why we wear clothes. You know, it's everything. And Paul refers to it as an accurate event. You know, in Romans chapter 5 and 1 Corinthians 15. If it's not an accurate Adam and Eve in a literal fall, boy, that really weakens his testimony. Okay, but we'll throw out, if you don't want to use Genesis, you don't want to use that at all, okay, we won't use Genesis. How about Exodus? Can we use that as an accurate historical event? Did those things actually happen? And maybe more specifically, the 10 Commandments. Can we take that literally? Or is that a framework, an analogy? You know, is that a figurative language that we can twist around to make God say whatever we want him to say? You know, most people believe that the 10 Commandments should be taken literally. You know, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal. There's no wiggle room there. Well, right smack dab in the middle of the 10 Commandments, in Exodus 20:11, it says, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea and all that in them is. That's 6 days. And he rested on the 7th day and hallowed it. So that's 6 days. And I was on a radio talk show out of Valley Forge one time, and the co-host said, well, couldn't each one of those days be millions of years? And I said, well, what verse in the Bible causes you to think that? He's not getting that idea from God's holy word. He's getting that idea from man's corrupted word. You know, there's a verse in there where a day is like 1,000 years and 1,000 years like a day. Yeah, I get it. But that's not millions. And besides, it doesn't make sense. If God made the plants on day 3, are they going to live millions of years without the sun on day 4? And even if they could they live millions of more years without the birds and the bees to pollinate them? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I was talking to this woman one time, and she said, she found out I gave these creation evolution talks, and she goes, really, what side are you on? And I said, creation, how about you? And she said, well, can I say both? The simple, short answer to that is no. No, you can't say both. It's like, well, why not? Because it's illogical. It breaks the law of non-contradiction. Two opposing things can't be true at the same time in the same way. Right. This podium can't be in this room and out of this room at the same time in the same way. And I could show you probably 20 different examples of where the order is backwards. The Bible has the earth before the sun. Evolution has the sun before the earth. And it just goes on and on. And they do their mental gymnastic to try to explain it away, but I've never seen anybody explain away the whale. The Bible says the whale made on day 5 came before the land animals on day 6. Evolution clearly says that life started in the sea, came on the land, and then evolved back in the sea to make the whale. So question, can you believe that the whale came before land animals and after land animals? No, it's illogical. Basically, pick a lane and get in it. And